Hey guys, my name is Kasia and welcome to the Revia podcast, Spirituality for the Untamed Soul. Hello my lovelies, thank you so much for sharing this space with me and I really hope that you will enjoy this episode. But before we dive in, I just wanted to tell you what this podcast is really about. Revia is a space for the untamed soul, the ones who want to live life fully, wildly and deeply while also healing what's underneath. Because I believe you don't have to choose between freedom and stillness, between adventure and softness, or between being strong and being vulnerable. This first episode is a snapshot of my story. I'll go deeper into different parts of my journey in the episodes to come, but today I just wanted to share how I got here. What shaped me, what broke me, what woke me up, and helped me remember who I truly am. So I grew up in Poland in the 90s, and at the age of 11, my dad moved to London in search for a better life. Little did I know that was pretty much when my childhood has ended. In the absence of a shoulder to rely on, I stepped into a role of an adult that was now missing in the house, all subconsciously, of course. Then at the age of 14, my parents decided that we all moved to London because, as you can probably imagine, having a family at a distance was just very difficult. 2 weeks before we moved to the UK, I've experienced first symptoms of a condition which many years later I've discovered to be IBD, and which I've been experiencing every day since, but I'm working on healing. First 2 years in the UK were a nightmare. My English at the time was very basic, but still better than my parents, so I became the family's official translator and, well, everybody's secretary. Not to mention that I've cried almost every day for the first year, just begging my mum to go back home, to my friends, to my room, to just a safe place. Then at the age of 16, my parents finally divorced and we began a new life with my mum and my sister without seeing the alcoholism, the shouting and daily stress. After craving love and relationship for many years, I have finally met my first boyfriend at the age of 19. What I thought was a dream come true quickly turned into a physical and emotional abuse. So this relationship left me sitting in my room for 3 weeks, desperately trying to finish off my final essay for my third year of law school with a black eye, which I got from having my boyfriend breaking my nose during a fight. Police got involved and it just got really nasty. At the same time, as I was in that first relationship, I was also doing something that brought me a lot of joy. I was running a hip-hop platform in London called Hip Hop Says. For 7 years, I've organized hip-hop jams, bringing together DJs, MCs, dancers, graffiti writers, families, friends, and all of those lovely people. And it was a celebration of culture and expression, a way to create unity and purpose through something I loved. That experience led me to start doing interviews with rappers, and for a while, I truly thought journalism was my purpose in life. So even though the events were beautiful, it was just too much for one person, and I eventually decided to close that chapter. But the desire to tell stories never really left me. So as I was already involved in the motorcycle community and surrounded by incredible people with powerful stories, I launched a new project called Katie Fly Talks, a talk show where I was interviewing inspiring people and stepping into their shoes to see the world through their eyes. It truly lit me up. I felt so alive while filming, but just after 3 episodes, I stopped. I was trying to make it perfect, to make it a full TV quality production with polish to the max, and perfectionism became my obstacle. And a friend told me, why don't you just record something simple, even just yourself with a camera? But my first reaction was, why would anyone want to listen to me without all the fireworks? And I realized that I have placed more value on the show I was creating rather than on my actual voice, my message, or the value my guests could bring. And at the time, my self worth was deeply tied to things I did rather than who I was. And that's why this podcast means so much to me right now, because I've been trying to pursue a creative path my whole life. I've tried different formats, different masks, but for the first time, this feels aligned and honest and grounded, and it just feels like me. So, after my law degree, I've decided it's not a career for me and began my master's degree in marketing, which also supported the hip hop project that I was running at the time. And throughout those years and later years, I've been to multiple doctors, taken multiple medications, had multiple procedures, but no one knew where the condition was coming from. And all they could say was, try to manage the symptoms through medication. So, after years of frustration, I've decided to take a more holistic approach, and I've learned how to regulate my nervous system and apply a healthy diet, which doesn't trigger the symptoms. And my self development journey began as I knew that the key to my healing is psychological rather than purely physical. I dived deeper into the life of yoga, reading self-help books, and listening to a lot of podcasts as well. Comes October 2021, and after a simple checkup, the doctors tell me that I have 3 polyps on my large intestine and I'm at the early stage of cancer. So they want to operate right away and remove the whole organ. I don't think I've experienced fear through my whole body and soul like I did that day hearing the diagnosis. But with that strong emotion of fear, my warrior energy also kicked in, and I just felt really strongly that this is not my path to take and that there is an alternative way to heal. Still clueless as to how I'm going to actually do it, with a bunch of Oxford doctors pressuring me to prep for the operation, I got a call from my mum to say that my auntie in Poland healed herself from a cancer and that she can actually help me out. So I gave my auntie a call, explained the situation, and in a few minutes she knew exactly what was happening to me and how to help me heal. She asked me to fly over straight away and stay at least 3 weeks to give this new healing strategy a go. I was on the plane literally the next day and ended up staying for 6 months. Over that time, my polyps disappeared, which was amazing. And although still experiencing some of my symptoms, I was feeling better, both mentally and physically. So things started to shift, and I actually thought that I'm ready to go back home and I'll continue my loving practices and that I'll be healed very, very soon. So I returned home with such a great energy and positive outlook on life. And 3 months later, I got into a relationship with a guy who I've been friends with for years. And I thought that my life is complete and I'm the luckiest person in the entire world. But not long after the relationship began, things started to not feel so happy. Something was going on and I just didn't know what it was. All I knew was that I'm constantly on edge emotionally, I don't feel loved, and I've developed anxiety attacks, and generally my mental health was plummeting. After months of research, trying to figure out what was going on, I've learned that my partner had an avoidant attachment style and all my traumas got triggered one by one. That's when my true transformation happened, and I've started working with my amazing, amazing therapist who helped me see what I couldn't see on my own and offered me the tools to self-regulate and just shift my thoughts as well. And if you think that was a journey with roses and cheerful sounds of funky James Brown in the background, well, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I thought that being in this difficult relationship was the tough part and that leaving it would make things better and somehow ease the emotional suffering. But man, I was not ready for what was coming. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was, believe it or not, my first true heartbreak at the age of 30. Because when a heart loves deeply, it suffers deeply too. Oh. Well, I knew I was going to cry. So that's fine. I am safe. I am safe. Okay. Well, I told you this would be for real. Where were we? So depression kicked in very fast. Anxiety attacks, which left me unable to move out of my own bath. Endless yearning for this suffering to just end. And my body cried more tears that I knew could even be possible. But I kept on going, day by day, trying to piece my life together again. That's when the inner work really began, because with knowledge came experience. It wasn't enough for me to understand my traumas, but I now have been given many experiences which became opportunities to test whether I want to choose a familiar behavior or thought rooted in my trauma, or rather choose the scary unknown path and start breaking the patterns, start breaking free from conditioning I never chose in the first place. Through everything I lived, illness, heartbreak, trauma, one thing I've always held onto is that life is meant to be lived fully, not just survived. And that's the heart of this space, to explore how we can heal and grow without losing our fire and our personality. So it took me months, but my depression subsided and things were looking up again. I got back to being my social self again and started dating again and started going to the gym, which was an amazing experience. But here's the deal, and you didn't ask for it, I didn't ask for it, but that's just life. And change is disruption on steroids. So the universe won't let you stay too happy, too comfortable for too long, but rather urge you to keep going and keep breaking those habits that brought you this whole struggle in the first place. My work became toxic, my symptoms got worse because I didn't really nurture myself properly. My search for love and connection was still unsuccessful, and I was exhausted, and still, after all of this work, I was still in my survival mode. So I said, basta, things have to change. I've decided to move out from my little town, which wasn't making me happy, quit my job just to remove myself from an environment that just wasn't working for me anymore, and change direction in pursuit of happiness. So my plan was great, but as with a lot of plans, they don't always work out the way we imagine. Usually because there's something greater coming, but of course, in the moment when you're thirsty, you just want to have a drink and you can't see the full picture just yet. So fast forward to where I am now. I've decided that this year is for me and just for me. No more running on empty, but rather learning how to slow down, how to give my body experiences of self-love, to regulate my nervous system and start creating a future I desire rather than continue living a life I have survived. The change on steroids, however, appeared yet again. I've spent the last 5 months looking for a remote job or a job of any kind which can simply sustain me and allow me to live in France. And I got nada. I don't think I need to tell you just how stressful it has been, but I've decided to just keep my faith and keep going. And whilst in this whole transition of moving, I've lost 2 of my most important friendships and experienced painful level of loneliness. But here's a silver lining. Whilst I was looking for a new job, sorting out this move and a lot of other frustrating life admin stuff, I've also signed up to every webinar I came across just to explore what's out there, right? Because I had all the time in the world. And that's when I came across life coaching. Had a few calls, did a few tests, and felt like my heart was saying, hell yeah, this is exactly what I want to do in my life. So here I am now, broadcasting live and direct from Lyon, stepping into a new chapter that feels like a true alignment. So, creating this podcast and opening my coaching practice is my way of honoring everything I've been through and helping others who want to live a bold, mindful, full-hearted life. So, whether you're healing, rebuilding, or reinventing yourself, I see you. I hope that this episode helped you to get to know me a little better and that I resonated with a part of you as well. I appreciate you being here with me. And as always, stay tuned for the next episode. Love you loads. Bye.